Hey guys, we're back out here in the arena today, and I want to talk a little bit about upper body positioning because can be um, it can be tricky. I think it can be tricky. Um, there is so many ways for your upper body to go awry. You can lean forward too much. You can lean back too much. You can collapse too much. You can arch too much. You can go one side low. You can go the other side low, and all sorts of combinations of that, right? And so, of course, we know that we're going to go heel to hip to shoulder alignment. And then we have to remember that there's actually curvature in your spine. Your spine is not a rod. It's not completely straight. And I see a lot of people try and take that curvature out. And for instance, they will be like, okay, well, I can't, this has to be flat. So then they straighten that. And then they're like, oh, my neck has to come up. So like now my neck is up. And I have just eliminated any curve in my back whatsoever. And there is no way I could sit the trot to this. Like this, there's just no way. So we have to remember that we have a sacrum, and then we come up to the lumbar, up to the thoracic, up to the neck, up to the head. There is actual curves in there. And one of the big ones is in your neck. And I have a lot of people that either, I look down sometimes, that eliminates the curve in your neck. People also try and tuck their chin in and lift at the back of their head, and that gets rid of any curvature in your neck, and that actually creates a lot of tension in your neck muscles and in your trapezius to hold that position. So you have to remember that you actually want to kind of lengthen your spine. And I think it was Sally Swift that was like, feel like you have a cable that comes out the top of your head and holds you upright. And stacks your body up, because that creates the space in between your vertebrae as you stack up. But it also allows you to like lengthen without tension. So I'm going to let him walk a little bit because he gets a little bored standing as I'm talking. But so you want to be able to keep that curve in your neck. You don't want to like totally get rid of the curve in your neck. You're not going to be looking up like this to put the curve in your neck, but you want to elongate your spine, but you want to keep the curve. So you're not trying to just totally, like brace your neck in a certain position. You want it to elongate and lengthen out of your shoulders and have your head sit directly on top of all of that. So a lot of times when I get on my horse and I'm working on my upper body, I really want to think that, okay, I've got and what I think of upper body, please stop. I think of upper body from everywhere from my hip all the way up to the top of my head. Okay, that's what I consider my upper body. So part of that is like my seat. But if I was going to lean forward, of course you can lean forward and collapse, but you can also lean forward from the hips, right? So that means that all of the upper body comes from the hip. And the same thing with leaning back. You can lean back because you arch your back and lean back. You can also lean back like this, and that's coming from the hips to lean back. So neither one of them are correct. Let me just, express that neither one of them are correct. And so when we talk about this alignment, we go from the heel to the hip to the shoulder. I have a little bit of like core engagement going on all the time when I'm on a horse. Not so much that I'm drawing my pubic bone up and I'm just totally flattening my back, because that would be taking the curve out of my lower back. but I'm not actually just like this, where I'm just like totally arched in my back and I'm letting my belly stick out, my little fat menopause belly, right? I actually want to keep that belly, I want to keep that core engagement, but not so much that I'm like drawing my pelvis up and flattening my back. Okay, I do have a booty on me, so I, am going to look like I have maybe a little more curvature in my back than if I had a totally flat butt. But this is where in my previous video I said, to the extremes, if I'm working on this area, I'm going to extreme arch it, I'm going to extreme round it. I'm going to extreme arch it, I'm going to extreme round it, and then I'm going to find the middle. And that's where I know my sweet spot is. Okay? And then I can engage my core around that. And that way I'm not actually, pulling myself out of my position by engaging my core, because I've found where that is based on my extremes, my extreme this direction and then my extreme arching. The same can be said for this section between, so we talked about our neck, we talked about our head being on top of our neck. We talked about how to have this positioning here, but what about from like our waist to our throat? And a lot of people struggle in this area too, not just laterally, not just this way and this way, but also because we can get to where a lot of people put their shoulders back and they do this, right? And now we have a lot of tension between our shoulder blades and a lot of tension in our traps. So our rhomboids and our traps are really, really tight, and our chest is sticking out. And then our arms are like this. It's really hard to ride like this. And then you have like spaghetti arms or blocked arms, tight arms. Okay, that's not, that makes me feel horrible. The other thing is then people like collapse here. Let's see, if I don't collapse here and I just collapse here and I kind of look down a little bit, and now my shoulders are rounded and forward, that's going to create a lot of extra movement in the sitting trot because my shoulders are rounded and my chest is collapsed. So a lot of times instructors will say, stick your chest out, and then people do this. Okay? Wrong. That's not how you align so again, we have to think about the curves in our back, and we have to think the natural curves, and we have to think about, again, I'm going to say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. What's in the middle? Ooh, I found the middle. Okay. This is what's correct. This is the alignment of my body, and I can go through all these pieces. If I'm collapsing, sometimes it helps to think about pushing into the wind with my chest, or JJ talks about her corn cobs, which is this area here where our collarbone is that we're not collapsing that, nor are we sticking it out, but we have a little bit of like tension across the front of our chest, and it matches what's across our back. See, when I was doing this, I had so much tension across my back. When I do this, I have to straighten my neck too much in order to counteract that tension. If I actually line myself up in that neutral position, then my neck can be neutral up above that. It also allows me, when you see the people that have like the best arms, they have this, isometric contraction that they're held in this place with their chest, right? They're balanced front to back with the length of their pubic bone to their throat is the same length from their sacrum to the back of their neck. Those are equal. That's one way to make sure that you've got the right positioning. If I'm collapsed, the front is shorter. If I'm arched, the back is shorter. So you want to make sure that the two lines are equal length, and then they have equal sort of isometric contraction to kind of hold you in this position. This is where your arms can be the most effective, because now they can drape out of your shoulder joints, and you can just think about these little tiny fishing weights on your elbows, not huge weights, these little tiny fishing weights on your elbows that allow your elbows to come straight down from there. That little idea of the fishing weight then allows you to shorten your reins or lengthen your reins and still maintain the positioning of your upper body and of your shoulder and of your elbows. If you are collapsing, you're going to probably do some weird thing because you don't have that shoulder girdle correct. If you're too arched, your shoulders are going to want to come back and your elbows are going to want to come back, and your reins are going to be too long and you're going to be the most comfortable here. You can't ride to the bit. It's really hard. Like you could, I guess, lean back and straighten your arms and try and ride to the bit, but that's going to feel like a lot of tension in your upper body. So you have to have that length here to match the length in the front, to match the length in the back. Then you're going to have this stretch across your collarbones that equals the stretch across your chicken wings, which is the your scapula region. And then you're going to let these like little tiny fishing weights have your elbows drop down, right? So that keeps your elbows out from here. So does this alignment of the collarbone and the scapula. If your scapular wings are sticking out, then you don't have this aligned correctly. And then that allows you to have your hands here or any place here or here, and it doesn't affect your core being, okay? It doesn't affect your core being at all. So I hope that helps as far as how to align your upper body, because this whole idea where people are teaching people to lean back to find their seat bones, I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate it. It is so wrong. It drives the horse's back down. It only then teaches you to have to like correct a position thing. You should be stacked on top of yourself at all times. If you're having trouble finding your seat bones when you are stacked in this position, that means that you're lacking some core engagement to put your seat bones on that saddle. That's all that it is. And leaning back is not going to help you. It's only going to make you tighten your hip flexors as you tighten your core, or it's going to make you flop around on your horse's back. And any person like myself, and one of my other videos, I talked about taking your measurements from your heel to your knee to your hip to your waist to your shoulder, and your shoulder to the top of your head, and understanding those dimensions. Anybody that's like me that has a short thigh, regardless of whether it's plump or not, a short thigh and has a pretty long upper body, that means from my hip to the top of my head, or my hip to my shoulder, is actually quite long. If I lean back or lean forward or collapse or do this, I am drastically affecting the horse's balance. And so it is a big no-no to get in these positions where you're leaning back in order to find your seat bones. I cannot speak enough about how bad I think that is. So of course, then you also, we might as well talk about this, you have to balance your lateral body, which can be really difficult. I'm left-handed. I do a lot of physical work. I have a tendency to shorten my left side because it is more contracted. And then I get a little tighter on that side, and then I'm exaggerating here for the camera, and then this side elongates, right? And I have to always think about, do I have equal length? It's just the same thing when I talked about the length from here to here and the back length. They have to be even, so do the side lengths. So your girdle here that kind of holds you in has to be equal left to right also, right? So part of your core is this ability to sort of like zip up your jacket in the front and zip up your spine in the back, but it's also to zip up these sides and make sure the sides are equal, right? You can't be having one side shorter or longer, or one shoulder dipped down and forward and the other one up and back. Or the opposite of that, like this, right? So you've got to be able to zip up here, zip up the back, and zip up the two sides. And then that's what allows you to have this beautiful arm position and a very, very solid upper body position, regardless of what the horse is doing. Okay, that's my positioning talk today about the upper body. I'll see you guys in the next video.